Hello and welcome to Anime with me, Asteroidia, and whatever that thing is. Today, it's exciting. Today, we have something that I always look forward to, and that is an anime original that I know basically nothing about. We are watching. I'm going to lead with the English title this time. We're watching Kaina of the Great Snow Sea, or the Japanese title, which I actually don't know how to pronounce now that I look at it. Not that my Japanese pronunciation is ever particularly great or even good, but I normally at least have a kind of idea of how to go with it. But I can't remember. I can't remember when you see in Romanji what a double O is in Japanese. It's not because I don't think it's U. O you Ooyukiumi no Kaina. Ooyukiumi or Ooyukiumi. I don't think it's an U on a double O though. Anyway, we're drifting into irrelevancy. Yeah, this is an anime original. I'm recording. Yeah, this is always good to check that you are actually recording before you launch into your enthusiastic spiel. Yes, this is an anime original. I know the name. I know. I mean, obviously, I know it's snow related because of the name, but I have seen some kind of still that looked like some kind of vehicle, like a snow cat or something. Um, and people in parkas. I think I've seen the image that's on Mal for it, basically. Um, I'm under the impression it is maybe some sort of sci-fi or fantasy, and it's an anime original. I don't think it's an isekai. Yeah, that's it. That is literally everything I know about the show. Is that from the little I do know, I am going to assume that it will be a sequel to the heartwarming slice of life adventure show, A Place Further Than Universe. So that's what I'm going to go in assuming. Not really. I have I I don't know. You always get like I've got very little information, but I do have some vibes, and the vibes I've got off this, just off the very tiny snippets of marketing material I've seen. I'm thinking this might be kind of dark. I don't think this is going to be your happy-go-lucky kind of light and airy running around adventure anime. I think this might be kind of a more serious thing. So yeah, um, we've already had a great original anime this season, which is Giant Beasts of Ars, which everyone should go watch, by the way, and watch my video of it as well, because no one watched that video, or it's got very low views compared to everything else, which is a real shame, because that implies to me, because everything else has been quite consistent, implies to me that people aren't watching that show, and it's really good. That first episode was really good. Hopefully that'll pick up as it gets further into the season, which tends to be the thing with anime originals until they build up some buzz. So yeah, go watch Giant Beasts of Ours as well, and then come back and watch this as well. um, but yeah, we've already gone one anime original first episode that I really liked. So can we go two for two? Yeah. So without further ado, start the show. So, as always with my usual spiel, this is a timer-based reaction, so you do need your own copy to follow along with. I will give you a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and then I will start my copy on my end. There will be a little sliver of the show at the bottom with the subtitles to help you sync it up, as well as a timer for the same reason. So I'm just going to make sure I am prepared on this end. Yep, we are. I'm going to give you the 3, 2, 1 on your marks, and 3, 2, 1, go. Polygon Pictures. It is a place further than the universe, the starry sky. Respirator. Gun? No, a bow. A harpoon gun, maybe? A bit more volume on this. It's a good opening already. Okay, not our world then. That's what she said. Sorry, sorry. Harpoon gun. Okay, I was right. Hunter. Don't quite have a sense of scale on the bug. I think they're quite large. That is a big hole. Whoa, that's a big bug. Ugh. It's like a giant predator. Oh, is he like a giant leaf that's made of ice or something? Because it's got veins like a leaf, and it's like a late. Whoa, that's huh. And that is a big bug. OP, OP. Ah, I like this opening already. See where it's gonna go, and we're gonna get something in. No, okay. Yeah, because it's like a big tree with like ice leaves on the top. Huh. Oh yeah, I like this song. So we've got like a male and a female lead, people, maybe monsters, but it looks maybe like people dressed in like armor made of the bugs. Is this CG? It is, isn't it? Shades of Maiden Abyss. Definitely Shades of Maiden Abyss. Oh, like knights. Interesting aesthetic compared to these guys who are kind of Arctic explorer, sort of 1920s, 1930s vibe. And this thing that keeps coming up, this green thing, the boy from the canopy. So it is trees and leaves and things. So is he out on his own, or where did you come from? Oh, that's cool. Got these giant trees. That is such a it's an unusual setting. Never seen anything like this. I mean, okay, yeah, I mean, I've seen stuff like it, but like this kind of combination of like the Arctic and the sort of slightly steampunk stuff and the giant trees, and the bugs. Huh. Yeah, this is CG, isn't it? Didn't realize it was CG. It's pretty good. Don't think it's quite as good as Trigun, but so I don't think they're necessarily. Oh no, okay, maybe they are eating them. I thought maybe that had. Oh, okay, yeah, they're eating it. Yeah, I thought it was maybe he brought it in for some other purpose. Hmm. So can you go all the way down to the surface, and what's on the surface as well? That's a question. So is it just your little group, and it's just him and the older people? Where's everyone else, and why are you the only young person here? Ah, so this is kind of open this. Caddis flies. Huh. So they're not feeding off it; they're fixing it. Hmm. So it is just the five in this room. Orbital spire tree. Hmm. So something is wrong. The world as they know it is decaying. Ah, so there is at least one other person. This all seems kind of scavenged or salvaged. Yeah, what happens when all of you die? Because you're all old. Hmm. So they rely on the tree for their water. So I guess the surface isn't necessarily, I mean, it is cold, but it's not necessarily made of ice. Since, why would you worry about water if your entire environment was made of ice? That's not really a huge problem. Ah, so this is the old man from the opening. Post-apocalyptic. This looks. I thought everything had a kind of scavenged look to it. So that is Japanese. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, but pay attention to this because this could give us some clues about what this world is. Definitely apocalyptic in some sense. I say it's significant because it's Japanese. In a lot of anime, if they're doing an entirely fantasy world, they'll often use like a made up fantasy language and just have the characters read it out or have subtitles. The fact it is actual Japanese characters. Interesting. Doesn't see the point in writing. Obviously, he's not sheltered exactly, but hmm. Okay. A magic system or technology? That was fun. Yeah, I like this guy. Okay, here we go. So this has been going on for a while. The world has been in this kind of decaying state. We thought, but we're not. You don't think that anymore. Hmm. Is that where they found him? Oh no. Okay. Wondered if maybe he had the baby, Kaina. Hmm. So this entire world, as they understand it, is dying. I assume the surface must be in some way unreachable or thought to be uninhabitable. The surface, okay. Sounds like a plan to me. Doesn't seem like you can stay there, so. But why have people stayed there? Can you just literally not get down? Is there just no way? Because it seems like they're living inside the tree. Oh, we're descending. It's a convoy. Motor vehicles? I did see something that looked like a snowcat. At least I think so in the preview picture. Oh, this is so made in Abyss. With the giant tree roots and the weird creatures. Ah, I wonder, are the people down below killing the trees? Are they like mining something or doing some kind of resource extraction that's destroying the civilization up on top? So the trees are dying and coming down, and the snow sea is rising and coming up. So the two worlds are literally converging on each other. That's fun. Pulling the kind of metaphor into the literal structure of the setting. I like that. The worlds are literally about to collide. Well, not quite collide, but they're approaching each other. So are you trying to hook this thing so you can fly up to the petals? It's got to be it, right? Sponsored by Coca-Cola. Not really. Reminds me of June actually trying to hook the sandworms, but it's opposite. You're going up instead of down. Snowship? Maybe this is what I saw in the preview. Rather, I thought I saw a tracked vehicle, but whoa! Oh, oh, the armor designs. That's amazing. I love these. I'm assuming these guys are not friendly though. Give the princess a go. I'm sure she'll get it. Oh, or maybe this guy's gonna. Oh no, this guy made it. That's an image and a half, isn't it? The ship coming over the snow. How are they propelling it though? I do like little animals. They're wait, what? I don't. What? Is it not snow? Is it not actual snow? Is it like some kind of? The hell are they traveling through? He's got a sword. Ooh, nice. These armor designs are great. I don't understand what's going on with the snow. That's weird. Ooh. Between the armor plates. That's what you want. Nah. You go on without me. Okay, no, that's fine. Oh, that twist the knife, yeah. I do kind of feel like you could have got in as well there and you would have been fine, but you want to make the heroic sacrifice, and that's fine. Ooh, ow. Yeah. The snow thing is weirding me out. I think I'll maybe talk more about that at the end. There's something very odd going on there, but that I'm not entirely sure is deliberate, but we'll see. Okay, so back up on top. That is just an amazing vista to look out over. You're still learning to read. There's some kind of bioluminescence on the tree as well. Okay, here she comes. She's coming out to meet them. Although I'm not sure what she expects to find up here because all we've got up at the top is this sort of tiny dying ember of a lost civilization, basically, of these villages up in the treetops that now basically no longer exist. So I'm not entirely sure what she expects to get out of this. Looking for the sage? Hmm. Problem with these small, tall cans, you have to tip them really far. Anyway. Still tracking the lights. Wow. They're really high up. It did say orbital spire trees. That thing from the OP. Hello. Who are you? And here comes the princess. Hello. However, I think you're going to find something better in a second. Presumably, you're going to have to go grab her before you can, before she disappears off into the. There's a fun little bit of character animation there. Oh. You're just going to tipping her out of there. Yep. Okay, there we go. And it disappears up. Hmm. I was wondering why she was unconscious, but then he's wearing some kind of respirator, so is there maybe not as much oxygen up here because the altitude? Is that us? That's us. Okay, mysterious. We didn't actually get to see the meeting, but we have got an ED. Hello. Okay, Snow Sea. Tree roots, those weird kind of spiral things that reminded me of Made in Abyss monsters. Got the princess. Looking out into the Snow Sea. A lot of characters from down below, so one assumes we're not going to stay up in the top. We're now going to travel back downwards. Presumably, once she discovers that this great sage that she thinks she's looking for. Okay, so it looks like maybe our entire cast of all the old folks will come down with him, which is nice. I kind of thought we might end up abandoning them. The enemy faction. The thing that confused me with that was that the old man was in the OP, and I'm like, okay, so he's got to come with him, but I was definitely expecting it to be his descent rather than her ascent. That confused me, or surprised me. It didn't confuse me. Two main characters, and that's it. No preview. Okay, that was huh. Huh. Let's bring that back up so we can have a look. Yeah, some striking visual stuff in that. Really striking visuals. That opening sequence was really good, where he's standing on this glassy surface, and it's like a little bit like you think maybe he's on a frozen lake or something, and then gradually you get the realization, which I think was played out really well. These kind of strange ridges in the ground, and then the ground is that transparent. Can you see something underneath? And then you eventually come to the realization that these are massive crystalline or ice leaves of this tree, massive tree or massive canopy interconnected between these different trees. Very striking. There wasn't any dialogue in that opening at all, was there? No, not really. Maybe some exclamations to himself, but I don't think there was any real dialogue. Just him. Yeah, yeah. A little bit of an explanation of the one bug carrying eggs. And the predator comes in. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we've got some. I'll bring that up for sure in the video. We've got the image of the trees and the whole the trees kind of holding up this world in the sky. Very mythic. Kind of like Yggdrasil, the Norse world tree. Hmm. Hmm. This world is dying. It seems like the holes in the canopy. I'm not sure if it is ice because they talked about running out of water, and I'm like, how would you run out of water if the canopy is made of ice? So I assume it's not. For whatever reason, either it's not ice, it is some kind of crystal, or it's something else that's frozen. It's not like water ice. It's something you can't drink. So they're having to get water from the tree, and there's a possibility of the water drying up, and the implication that this is what has happened to the other villages. That there used to be scattered around, presumably in the other trees, and there was some kind of nation, but they were aware of other villages, and there was some kind of trade with these sign makers, sign readers, I think. Who are keeping written language alive by scavenging what basically seem like old road signs or warning signs, which makes me think very post-apocalyptic. Which is going to make it sound like I've got post-apocalyptic settings in the brain, so I've kept going on about that, about giant beasts as well. But I think coincidentally it's going to be a thing in both of these. Giant beasts was maybe a little bit more of a question as to whether I was right about that or not, and how far it was going to go into that. But this, yeah, because like everything about the environment that these people live in on the top feels scavenged. There's a kind of Mad Max vibe to it. Improvised, scavenged, the learning the written word through these signs that they've found, which are definitely part of some kind of industrial society. There's a really interesting shot of the tree in between here where it almost looks, it is organic, but it almost looks kind of mechanical, which makes me wonder if this entire thing is artificial in some sense. Sign keeper, that's what he's calling him, the old man. Brings food to the sign keeper, and he's got these signs everywhere. So where are they finding these? Where are these coming from? They don't say. Are they? Yeah, where are they finding them? Because I mean, like, the entire world that they live in is transparent, and it's not like they're digging them out of the ground, you know, in like a sort of traditional post-apocalyptic idea where you're finding, you know, ancient ruins or something, you know. So that, like, where would that be in this environment? Where would these be coming from? And if they were coming from the world down below, then how do they get from down there to up here? You know, how does that process work? How are they elevated? Are they brought up by creatures, or are they were they brought up and stored somewhere in a previous age? Because I mean, we've got some other examples of kind of exactly high tech, but like the harpoon gun isn't. I mean, they're going around with these kind of slightly crudely stitched together clothes, and the rope ladders lashed together in a very kind of traditional way, and they're kind of, only one of them seems to really be literate, and then he's teaching the kid Kaina as well. Also, the arm of my chair I keep meaning to tighten the screws on that because it keeps making a really annoying noise that I have to edit out of the videos. But yeah, the only literacy seems to be this old man and what he's spoken, what he's taught to the kids. So like, they don't seem to have a lot of technology around, but they've got the spear gun, and they're maintaining that somehow with some kind of passed down knowledge. The other possibility with the signs, of course, is that they are not in fact coming from below, they are falling from above, you know. Is there something up above as well? And the signs are in Japanese, which I mentioned. I think I kind of covered this during the video, but it's interesting that they're in Japanese. Not necessarily, doesn't necessarily mean anything. But I have noticed a trend in kind of fantasy and sci-fi anime, that often in anime, when they use Japanese, it is meant to be Japanese. Like it's meant to signify that there was a Japan in this world at some point, and that is their written language, you know. There is a trend, or at least one that I think I've noticed, where fantasy languages tend to be fantasy languages. They'll use like substitution ciphers for English, or just gibberish, or English sometimes even, actually, rather than Japanese. But when they use Japanese, it tends to actually signify some kind of real world connection. Sorry, which again, that might mean absolutely nothing, because just because you're using a recognizably Earth-based language doesn't necessarily mean that you're implying this takes place either in, you know, the far future, or a different planet that's been colonized or something. But it might do. And there was definitely some kind of industrial society at some point, because these bits of signage, like, what did they say? Because that was kind of, I don't think it was anything of massive significance. I wish you could read these kanji, actually, because there's some of them, they don't read them all out, and at the very least, the subs I've got aren't translating all of these. So I think they're mostly just. I think they're mostly just basic warning signs, because the two that they do read out, yeah. So one of them literally just says "Beware of falling objects." It's the first one we got up here, and but it looks like a very modern warning sign. I mean, obviously, like it's something you'd get in a construction site, which implies a kind of level of, and it's metal. It's got screw holes. It's not like a sign painted onto a bit of wood or something. You know, it's and we've got the hazard stripes. So there's an implication of modernity there. But is so with that and the Japanese, is this our world? Maybe. Has something gone horribly wrong? Are the trees in some way artificial? Again, I go back to that one frame that we saw of the trees where, yes, they did seem organic and it did look like tree stumps jutting out of the ground, but at the same time it looked kind of mechanical in a way, in a weird way, sort of biomechanical. Hmm. Hmm. And then the next sign he reads out, I think, was a bit vaguer because he doesn't read out. Oh, is this one in English? Chap. No, there's a few English or Roman letters, but yeah, the rest of it is in Japanese. Hand holding authentication ceremony sends shredded price. Again, we're looking at this through two layers of translation. He might not be reading it out correctly in universe, and then we have to translate. We have to have the Japanese, broken Japanese, translated into a version of that in English, so that it's kind of difficult to extrapolate anything out of that. But hand holding and authentication, assuming that's an accurate translation, and it has the same connotations in Japanese that it has in English, which we might be going off in a bit of a stretch here, but that implies computers to me. That implies, some kind of login system. Very high tech stuff, past just the basic industrial ability to make metal signage. So we've got this dying world up above. We have these two disparate societies, albeit one is almost gone. Oh yeah, just before we go into the next one, the old man briefly talks about something where he might just be babbling. Rituals are when people are in need of some great and unimaginable strength. And he talks about energy flowing into them and their surroundings. I haven't seen anything that would necessarily lead me to think supernatural stuff is going to happen in this yet, except maybe that little thing at the end. I don't know, but that it could be describing some kind of magic system. It could be describing some kind of technology. I don't know. Not really enough information to go on yet on that. But yeah, he chats away to the old man, and they talk about the signage and how they've kept reading alive as a ability. He talks, and of course, Kaina has been following the lights on the ground, which the old folks in the treetops kind of dismiss as this just being a flight of his a kind of flight fancy. They don't seem to believe that there's any civilization down below. They just think it's more of these strange animals. But he thinks it's people, and he's right, because he's probably following the convoy of mounted people, or these ships that we see later. Lights from them. Where did Kaina come from? Because they mentioned this guy that collapsed in the snow, and I kind of assumed when they started talking about that there was going to be, and he was holding a baby, and that baby is you, but that wasn't actually what that was. That was just the guy who taught the signage to the old, what is now the old man. So where did Kaina come from? Were his parents part of this village and they just died, or did they find him somewhere? Because he seems a little bit out of place. And why are there no other young? Why is it only old people left? What happened to all the other young people? because this environment clearly seems to be dangerous. The idea that there's a possibility of falling through the I'm just going to call it ice for want of a better word. I have gathered that it probably isn't ice in the traditional sense, but the petals. There's a possibility of falling and falling into the snow sea below. And the creatures don't. I mean, there was that big predator at the start that ate one that was trying to eat his kill with the eggs. So it's clearly a dangerous place. So you can just die, and your community can run out of water, which kills the your communities run out of water. You all die. You all die of thirst. So that can happen. But what specifically happened here? Why are there no young people? Why is it only the 5 older folks left? Where did everyone else go? What happened to them? And why is Kaina still there? I'm still wondering if they found him somewhere. If it's going to be like the kind of chosen one thing where he is someone of significance that was abandoned for whatever reason. Or, I mean, basically, is the rest of his family, the missing link of his family, are they just dead? Or was he brought in from somewhere else as a child and just raised by these people? Are any of these people his grandparents? He doesn't seem to refer to them as such. Mysterious. So yeah, that's us done, and then we go down and we've got the riding through the snow on these cute kind of weird creature things. I don't quite know how to describe them. Sort of a little seal-like, a little bit like I don't know. Actually, I can't really think of a comparison to them, but they're cute. I like them. I like the snow gear designs are cool. I haven't seen so much of the characters yet because everyone's wearing so much stuff, but it's an interesting mix of cultural influences as well and the gear that they're wearing. So I'm looking at it now and we've got I'm no expert in this stuff and I don't want to like make comparisons to things I really genuinely know nothing about, but I kind of see a lot of things that I vaguely recognize. I think some of this is again going out on a limb here. I might be completely off the mark, but I think some of this, as opposed to being North American, like I don't actually know what the kind of correct terminology these days is, but like Inuit, as opposed to I believe Eskimo being kind of possibly slightly derogatory or too specific or too general or something. I don't really know much about that, but I don't actually think that's what this is. This looks more Sami to me, like northern Scandinavian peoples. Something about the knives with the ropes tied around the hilts. Again, I could be totally off. And the fact everyone's like really blonde, that's a kind of Sami thing. The Sami, that's the native people in Frozen, the Disney film. All the people from the north of the kingdom. I think they're based on Sami peoples. So I think there's a bit of that influence there, and some stuff about the clothing and things. The swords are interesting though that they've got because they're kind of a blue metal. And if everything's covered in all this snow, then where are you getting the metal for the swords? That's a question. Where's that coming from? They almost look kind of slightly technological. They've got an interesting sort of traditional, sort of pre-medieval look to them, but then the materials look, or the swords, they've got this kind of squared off thing. It's very interesting. Because you'd expect in this environment, if everything is covered in snow and there's just these animals around, you'd kind of expect everything to look a bit more like the adversary people that turn up at some point. I can't really call them, but who appear to have their armor isn't necessarily made of insect monsters, but it kind of looks. No, I think it is actually made of. Yeah, I think all of their gear seems to be made of like hide or chitin or bone, because all their axes are like jawbones and things. Which reminds me of Morrowind, which is always a good thing. All the chitin armor from Morrowind. Oh, yeah, the princesses faction. They seem to have they've got some interesting kind of Scaled armor under their coats as well. A kind of iridescent scaled armor. Again, I wonder if that's the hide of something. But again, looking at these swords, there's something kind of weirdly technological about those that implies we've got maybe the metal's being scavenged from something. And then of course we've got the adversary people with their ship, their snow ship, which is such a cool concept, and just the visual of that ship coming over the ridge. And that does seem to be made of like riveted metal plates. So I mean, oh no, it's made of wood. Or is it an ironclad? Yeah, I think it's like a wooden ship with like some kind of metal plating. So again, you wonder where are they getting the metal for that? Where's that coming from? Is that being scavenged from some? Is there like a wrecked spaceship around somewhere that they're scavenging it from? Assuming, going off the theory that this is like an alien world that's been colonized by humans and then has now regressed after some apocalyptic event, maybe. So where did that come from? And they've got a catapult that appears to be throwing rocks or bits of metal. And I mean, like, that's one of these things where they're like shooting a catapult and you're like, oh, they're just throwing rocks. It's nice and easy. That's an easy missile to find that you can shoot your enemies. But then you're like, hang on. The world's covered in this massive, like hugely deep layer of snow. Where do you get rocks from? Where do you go and get a rock to shoot out of your catapult? Where do they come from? Intriguing. And looking at the stills of it here, I don't think they are. I'm not sure they are rocks. I think they might actually be like chunks of metal or something. Or maybe wood off the giant trees. Maybe the giant trees, the properties of the wood, because obviously they're not normal trees. So maybe the properties of that wood lend themselves to being made into other things. You can just like carve off chunks of that and then use that as a projectile if it's like ironwood or something, like a really dense, heavy wood, or more so than that. Because these things are holding up the sky, so like holding up this giant plate of thick material, so that must be very strong, very dense stuff. Yeah, and I love I love the metaphor being made into a physical thing in two ways, because you've got the decay of the world in the sky where it's basically falling down to earth or holes opening in it, and you've got the ascent of the world on the ground where the snow is building up and getting higher and higher, which is the only reason apparently they could catch the floating thing to try and travel up there. That's really cool. That's fun, because you've got obviously you could just have the thing where it's like the world meeting where the boy comes down or the girl goes up, and the world's kind of colliding there. But having it literally, that is literally what is physically happening in this universe. That's cool. That's fun. I like that. Funny that it was an ascent from down below after that introduction, because I really thought it would follow him and then he would climb down and then he would be exploring. But as I said, with the old man being in the OP, I kind of had it in the back of my mind that couldn't necessarily be what it would be, because how is he going to come there? And he's going to have to come with him at some point. What an intriguing world. Okay. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about plot wise? I don't really think so. There's just this really nice ending sequence where he pulls her down. He spots the balloon, pulls her down. I quite like that. I like the pacing in this episode as well as one final kind of very positive thing. The pacing was good. I like that it wasn't afraid to take its time. That's can be unusual in anime, and it's difficult in anime as well because the episodes are so short. Just spending time to let things sit, let a scene play out with not so much dialogue. We had that in the opening. We had that in the mirrored in the ending, where he finds the balloon. He goes out hunting again. He finds the balloon, shoots it down, or doesn't shoot it down, but pulls it in. That's nice. Just giving us some space to breathe, some time for us to appreciate the scenery. Music was good too. The CG is rough in places. It's a little bit unfair. I mean, it's fine. I think this is full CG, right? Yeah. No, it is. I'm just driving myself crazy, second guess myself because if I'm wrong, I look really stupid. But no, I'm pretty sure this is full CG, and some of the characters do look kind of robotic in places. Like the Kaina looks fine. It's one of these ones where they've clearly put a lot of effort into their main character models, and the other ones not as much. So the old folks looked kind of robotic. I'm a little bit spoiled after Trigun because Trigun, obviously Orange is just the best at this kind of thing. Yeah, some of the old folks are. It's a bit like you can almost hear the. I am a character in a show. You know, there's a bit of that you get with refocus. There's a bit of that with that you get with CG anime, and this definitely has this. Is this the same studio that did Knights of Sidonia? Let's just check that. Kaina of the Great Sea, because it looks like Knights of Sidonia. Polygon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the studio that did Knights of Sidonia and Ajin. Demi-Human are the two that I've seen from them, and I've seen one or two of the Godzilla movies as well that they did. Yeah, yeah. I okay. Yeah, that makes sense because it looks a lot like Knights of Sidonia, with all of the good and bad that implies. Because they in my opinion, for CG anime, they are definitely the they take second place behind Orange, of Hoseki no Kuni and now Trigun fame, and Beastars, of course, as well. But it is second by quite. There's a big gap there. Orange really are like, oh god, is that studio called? I'm going to reference them a lot, so I'm just going to quickly look that up to make sure I'm actually using the right name for the studio. Orange Studio Seki no Kuni. Yes, Orange Animation Studio. Yes, I wouldn't want to get that wrong because that is one of my favorite studios. They've made one of my favorite shows of all time, Seki no Kuni. Yeah, there's a big gap between Orange and literally everyone else. Just in terms of the way they do facial animation. Like there was a. I don't want to talk too much at length because I'll end up talking about this at Trigun again because they actually make that show. I'm not sure if this was right, but I was saying during Trigun that I think they do a thing where they like animate 2D faces onto 3D models to get more expressiveness in. I tried to look that up after, and I'm not sure where I got that because I couldn't find much of a reference to it. So I may be wrong there, but whatever Orange do, they do a really amazing job at bringing character facial animation to life in a way that Polygon just don't quite. There's just something they've got better about it, and they've always been okay. The original Knights of Sidonia, I like that. I like the first season of that show a lot. I have opinions on the second season and where that goes, but that's actually nothing to do with it's nothing to do with the anime. That's to do with where the manga goes. For that, it goes off in a very strange direction that a very odd direction after the first kind of chunk of it that I didn't like a lot. But I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, but Knights of Sidonia is good, and their facial animation was good in that. But it's not Orange. Like there's some nice stuff, and they do clearly prioritize their main character. I mean, any anime is going to prioritize the main characters, but there is always a kind of stark distinction between main characters and side characters. So yeah, there's the character animation for one thing. It's it's fine. I wouldn't have minded so much. In fact, I don't really mind the character animation. And I mean, the fact that there was any doubt at all as to whether this was CG or not, I was like, is this definitely CG? No, it is. But the fact that I had to actually ask myself that and be like, no, it is. Even that moment of hesitation, you know, that's great. That means it's really, really good CG if you actually have to question it even for a second. Because it really wasn't obvious in that opening scene, because I think there's a lot of 2D sort of backgrounds here, or really, really good backgrounds. And the monsters are really well animated, which tracks, because Knights of Sidonia is like that as well. The Gauna in Knights of Sidonia look really good. And all the texturing here. That was another thing Sidonia was really good at, that this is really good at as well, is the texturing of the 3D models, which is something you don't see a lot of comment on, but Knights of Sidonia, I have a lot to say about that show. Maybe I should rewatch it sometime, but it's a very lived-in sci-fi world, but it's a very lived-in sci-fi world, and they do a great job making look at everything look used and gritty and kind of grimy. And this has the same vibe. It's really done a kind of similar thing here, and it works really well. So yeah, I wouldn't have minded about the CGI, right? I like CGI anime. One of my favorite animes is CGI anime. I'm never going to arbitrarily complain. However, what is going on with the snow? Because that don't look right. I'll have to I'll play a few clips and show a few. I won't bother scrolling through it because I've got a still up here that I can look at. But I'll cycle through a few shots and a few clips as I talk about this. What is that? Like what is that? What are we doing here? So there's a couple of possibilities. One, if I'm being very generous, maybe not very generous. I may just be wrong. One, if I'm being generous, is there something weird with the snow? Is the snow not snow? Because like what I'm looking at here, I mean, like I said, I'll have it up. But what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at this snow, and it doesn't look like snow. It looks like a field of giant. You know those little polystyrene balls you get in like bean bags, or you sometimes the stuff you get inside bean bags, like cheap bean bags, the little polystyrene balls. It's like giant ones of those instead of actual snow. So the first possibility is that like is that not just a stylistic choice, and that's actually a thing that is happening in the world? Because there's something weird as well when the catapults shot. I'll bring this up too. When they shoot the catapult, the stuff comes down. The guys are knocked off their mounts. They fall into the snow. Yeah, there's this weird shot where these guys have disappeared down into the snow, and it looks like they're underwater, and the thing's running on water above. And I can't parse this. I don't understand what I'm looking at. I don't understand the intention behind it, because I can't. Is this meant to be like these guys are being smothered by the snow that they've kicked up? You know, they're disappearing down under this. Is this a sort of metaphorical visual thing? Or is the snow a layer under over liquid? Because when they come back up, they don't seem to be. It kind of does seem like they're swimming. I do not understand what this is. And I mean, like, I suppose the thing, the ship moving through the snow sea, it's a ship. It's not a sled. It's a ship, and it's kind of arranged like a sort of trimaran or something. I don't understand. I do not understand what I'm looking at here. Yeah, I don't get what the intention is here. So the snow looks really deeply strange, and I don't understand whether that is an in-universe thing where this is not in fact actual snow. Which, yeah, sure. I mean, I could buy that completely. Um, it's not snow. It's some stuff that forms into these perfect spheres that kind of float on the surface, and then there's a sort of liquid layer underneath, so they're actually floating on the top, and the monsters that are riding are swimming. And like if you got off your mount and tried to walk somewhere, you wouldn't be able to do that. You would just sink. But they call it the snow sea, so I assumed it was snow at first, and it looks like snow from the surface, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's like this kind of ocean with this layer of polystyrene on the top. So the big problem I have with this is it just looks, whatever the explanation ends up being for this, my first instinct when I was looking at it was like, oh, that's really awful CGI snow. That's terrible. That looks hideous. That was my first thought, right? And there could be a lower justification behind that. And if that's the case, fine, and maybe I'll get used to it. But it's not great that that was my first impression of this. Like, my first impression was, oh, wow, they really didn't make a good choice when they were working out how to do this snow in CGI, right? And that would be difficult. You know, it's difficult to do that. There's a reason games have only recently started like letting your character leave actual modeled snow trails rather that aren't just, you know, decals on a surface. But that's very strange. I wonder about that though, because Polygon have been doing this a long time, and that this seems like it just. I am definitely veering towards the opinion that it's a stylistic choice based on some kind of lore reason, but at the same time, I think it looks really bad. I think it looks bad. Whatever the reasoning for it, I just think it looks like a really bad attempt at doing CGI snow, regardless of what the actual intention is. That is just what it ends up looking like. And like that could be a big problem for me, like visually, for this entire show. If I don't get used to that and the entire show is set on the snow with these fights in the snow, am I going to be able to unsee that for the rest of the run? I don't know. We'll see. If we get back to the snow sea, I mean, I assume we're going to have a little time up above with these two characters once they've got to the top. If we come back to the snow sea and maybe at the end of episode 2 or episode 3, and we get a really good explanation as to what the hell is going on here, yeah, okay, fair enough. If we don't get that and we just see the weird polystyrene snow sea for the rest of the show, that's going to be that's going to make for slightly. I don't know. Maybe other people aren't picking on this as much as I am, but I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh, oh no, I really don't like it. I don't like how that looks at all. I think that's hideous. Ugh. Like, what is that? I just don't. Yeah. Anyway, okay. I'm going to stop complaining now because I have a feeling that's going to get boring very quickly. Just me going on a bit of snow modeling. But yeah, everything else looks really good. And it's a very intriguing world with a lot of questions in much the same way as Beasts of Ars was actually. In kind of similar parallel ways, which is going to make watching both of those week to week kind of interesting actually. Kind of compare and contrast your two original fantasy settings with vague high-tech post-apocalyptic stuff possibly, because they've both got that in very different ways, but they have both got that, which is interesting. We've got both of those in the same season. Exciting actually. Yeah, okay, so snow thing aside, I thought this was really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing more. I'm looking forward to seeing more about this universe. I am conscious slightly of the length of this video. Mostly me complaining about snow. No, there was a lot of earlier stuff as well, but conscious of the length of the video, and I think I've kind of reached the end of the discussion here. So I think we'll leave it at that, and we'll see what happens next episode. But for now, I'm happy to add this one to the docket. We'll keep seeing how it goes. Yeah, so if you enjoyed, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please consider subscribing or hitting the wee bell, because as I always say, if I want to see anything from any YouTube channels I'm subscribed to, I have to have the notifications on, otherwise I never see them. So please consider that. Also, if you want to leave a comment, please do. Tell me what you thought of the snow. Tell me if that is bugging anyone else as much as it's annoying me. That I get these things sometimes where there's just one thing where I'm like, especially visual stuff that just comes up that I just don't like, and I'm like, I can't. It's like picking at a scab. It's like every time it comes up, I'm just like, I hate it. I hate it. I don't like it. Yeah. Does that bother anyone else? Does anyone else share my opinion? That's probably a stylistic thing that maybe just doesn't work, or do you think as a stylistic thing it does work? I'd be really interested to hear some opinions on that specifically. Actually, also anyone who's watching this and Beasts of Ars as well. Actually, let me know what you think of the kind of comparison there and the kind of interesting thing of having these two anime, both anime original in it as well, which is very exciting to have both those in the same season. Yeah, tell me what you think of the comparison there. Yeah, let me know. And for now, I've been Asteroidia. This has been something I can't pronounce in Japanese that I will work out how you say that next time. But Kaina of the Great Kaina of the Kaina of the Great Snow Sea. Kaina of the Great Snow. Kaina of the Great Snow Sea. Try saying that 10 times fast. Kaina of the Great Snow Sea. And I will see you in the next episode. That was a weird way to end this, but never mind. Kaina of the Great Snow Sea. Great Snow Sea. Kaina of the Great Snow Kaina of the Take one. It's going to make a great outtake. Hello.